Hi everybody, welcome very much to the channel. Esoteric Cloud Surfer here. Today let's talk about spirituality. Let's talk about the 3 stages of spiritual creation. Thank you for watching, your support is greatly appreciated. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy the video and use the links in the description to know more about my content and to book with me some services as well. So let's get started. So as a spirit, we always creating stuff, right? We always going into new places, coming back to some previous places, renewing something, going out of something existing, right? Coming out of a space or a mentality, whatever, right? But there is like an order or at least a more efficient way to do that process, right? And there is 3 main stages. So first one is creation, right? As everything starts at some point, everything starts through the creation of the spirit. And how does a spirit create something? By being aware and by creating a frequency and a vibration, by going into a space, new or old, right? And then moving in a specific way, creating a specific pattern, creating a specific frequency and vibration. And that's how as well you can go to an old place that you were previously before and create something new, or literally make that space new or renew it, or by just bringing a new vibe, by bringing a new movement, spiritually speaking, you can make an old space look and feel new, right? But that's for another video. It will never be as good or as fresh as a real new space. Keep that in mind, right? Then we have, after the creation, after the spark, after the change in vibration, change in movement, we have the accumulation, aka the fixed part of the creation. So we have first creation, starting, spark of something, and then the accumulation and the fixation. So this is actually down here, quote unquote, in our realm that we are experiencing at the moment. This is the most important. All the parts are important, in course, but this one is the one that we can consciously be more aware of. So that's the one we can do more in accordance to our own desires and parameters, which is to maintain a specific pattern, frequency, and vibration, right? And a lot of people struggle with that. I've seen through my experiences and through my readings and consultations that a lot of people are good at initiating, or in the third part of our creation video, we're gonna talk about it real soon, and they kinda lack the maintenance part, right? And everybody you see being successful in being a celebrity, being an elite sportsman, man or sport woman, everybody that are really successful in this world, it's about accumulation, right? But there is other things involved, especially creation and the third part of the creation cycle. So it's talking about this is really simple, but actually doing it is not that simple, because it requires really motivation, it requires consistency, and it requires you to believe in yourself and to believe in the purpose, the path, and the goal that you are about to achieve. And that's where most people and most spirits waver in this world. You actually have the ability to maintain that movement, to maintain that pattern, that frequency and vibration, but because, I don't know, something changed in your mind, something changed in your life, something changed in your feelings, you don't see the purpose as clearly, you don't feel so motivated to keep going, you think perhaps it's not worth it anymore, the accumulation of that pattern stops. And then what happens when that stops? You start a new one. And if you never stay consistent, you always halfway through the cycle. You never reach the last part. You're always creating, being a little bit fixed, and then stopping and being creative again, as in creating a new pattern and a new routine. And this is very important actually, because a lot of people and a lot of spirits, they think they go to the third part, but they always coming back to the first one. and then they don't understand why they're not manifesting, or why it's so slow, or why it's not what they wanted slash needed, or why it's not in the way that they needed, because most times it will not be in the physical way that you want it to be, but spiritually speaking, you always get what you deserve, right? But that's the key. It's because they don't maintain the fixation and the accumulation, and they always come back to the spark, to the starting point, right? And then what is the third and last part is the expansion part, is the mutabilization part, is the ramification, right? And this is actually a bit tricky, right? Because you must maintain that fixed pattern, right? And then bring it to new spaces or expand on it, doing it more or more efficiently. And here it's where the confusion really comes into. A lot of people actually do that subconsciously, and then they are lucky. They are successful and they don't even know it. Here in my country, we say they are successful without knowing how to read or write, right? Which is good, that's a spiritual superpower. What that can be bad about that part is that people don't know that they can be successful into some bullshit, right? But that's for another video. So the problem is that sometimes people confuse taking the accumulation part to a new realm or to a more efficient way, and they're confusing it with the creation part, like I said. So they think they're now taking that accumulation somewhere else or further, but actually they come back to the creation space and they're now creating a new spark and a new movement, thus not accumulating enough to manifest something materially, right? Because you have to remember the law of accumulation, one of the spiritual truth, which is, especially in this world, but in every world, you only will manifest, materialize, and experience something that you accumulate on. Now, the thing is, if you want to grow and be successful, you can't be always accumulating in the same space. That will create frustration, that will create clash with other spirits coming in there, that will create just tiredness, that will create lack of inspiration and lack of ideas, that will create burnout, and that will just, maybe you can and will manifest something, but not as good as it could be, right? So this actually, the last part, is what actually requires more wisdom. But also some spirits and people already have that within them, or through their lives they came into that aspect rather easily or smoothly, right? So the creation aspect, we're always doing that by default, always. You don't need to learn, you don't need to, oh, now I'm doing that. No, you're always doing that, right? Then the middle part, the accumulation, the fixation, that requires a lot of willpower, believing in yourself, believing in the future, believing in the vision, believing in the path, being sure, not being doubtful, or allow the doubts to bring a new, more efficient version. Okay, the third step. The third step requires wisdom, so you can evolve, utilize, right, and expand on the accumulation process without stopping it, breaking it, slowing it down, or just creating something entirely new and starting the process all over again. So this actually comes with experience. Now imagine if you somebody, or you know somebody, they're already very good at materializing and manifesting real easily. Perhaps it's because in past lives or very early on in this life, they learned how to do it. Or they saw somebody, they got inspired, maybe just a part of their natal chart, for an example. Their spirit already knows how to do that, right? But it requires a lot of wisdom to realize consciously, right, actually how to take this step without perturbing the accumulation phase, right? And this is how you, as a spirit, create something, and not only create as a spirit, but then you experience it and materialize it in a physical realm. Now this goes for everything, physical stuff, relationships, right? And you have to be very aware, consciously, of when and with whom and what are you creating these steps, right? Because you might be doing very well the accumulation and the mutabilization, sorry for the bad wording, and the expansion, but you're doing it on the wrong spaces, aka how and where you are creating and starting your processes of accumulation and materialization is not the best for you for your current situation. Then you might lack consistency, you might lack self-belief, and you might lack belief in your purpose and in your value, so you might not be doing very well the accumulation. And then you might lack the wisdom and the spiritual senses to understand to how and when expand the accumulation process without stopping it or creating a new cycle entirely true, right? And then in the end of the day, there is a fourth hidden part, because it's not really a part of the cycle, right? It's just you as a spirit having the ability to have different cycles going on at the same time, not allowing them to conflict with each other, but actually allowing them to benefit each other. And that's where the mutabilization part comes in actually as well. You go as a spirit, you go into a certain place, creation, you develop a pattern, a spiral, a square, a star, and whatever, and then you are able to, with the properties of the square pattern, support the space and creation where you are doing a star pattern. This is just to represent something. Those are just examples, right? Because the patterns that we create are way more complex. Go check some videos of the science where they use vibrating plates and salt or sand to visualize patterns of sound, frequency, and vibration, right? And that's actually very important, because you might be trying to materialize in a way where you need something that you already got from somewhere else, spiritually speaking. And if you can bring those together without really making them one, right? Because then you're gonna manifest something else, because now that's a different space. And that's for another video. That's like real spiritual alchemy. But here we're talking about the basics of the basics, in how you can have multiple manifestations and materializations happening at the same time, and they can support each other without becoming one agglomeration. That's how people manifest toxic relationships, catastrophic situations, and things that they don't know how that came into fruition, because they didn't got that shit together. Either it was too scattered, or their shit, their things, it wasn't things, it was just one big mess of messy situations, and then that's what you create, right? So I hope this helps you understand how we create things as a spirit. First creation, second accumulation, third expansion, right? And then the fourth hidden aspect, allowing your cycles, allowing your different projects to support each other, spiritually speaking. Thank you for watching. Your support is greatly appreciated. I hope you enjoy. If you do, leave a like and subscribe. Book some readings and consultations with me using the links on below. And the Esoteric Cloud Surfer is surfing out. See you next time.